Question number 1. An analyst reviews a threat hunting report that includes the following behavioral indicators extracted from endpoint monitoring. Which MITRE attack tactic is represented by these actions? And we've got a nice little log there. We see a PowerShell was spawned. We see the arguments, network connection, file written, and then the registry key was modified. What are we looking at here? Execution, persistence, defense evasion, or exfiltration? Exfiltration. What do you think on this one? I know it's a little bit weird on this one. I feel like you've got this though. I feel like some of you like, boom, too easy. I've nailed it. I know exactly what's going on. And then some of you are probably struggling, and that's okay. That's why we're doing these questions. Remember, if they were all easy and you got them all right, then you're not really learning. You're not really learning, and that's okay. Let's answer this one. If you need more time, of course, you could pause the video. An analyst reviews the threat hunting report that includes the following behavioral indicators extracted from the endpoint monitoring. Which MITRE attack tactic is represented by these actions? We see that the PowerShell was spawned. We see that no profile, execution policy bypass, encoded command, and we see a command feature in there. We see that it's connected to 192.168.1.40 at port 4444. We see a file was written for malicious DLL, and then we see the registry key was modified, and we can see that registration key associated with it. So is that execution, persistence, defense evasion, or exfiltration? Let's start with execution. I like execution. I really do. We see the PowerShell was executed. We see that the file was written. Definitely some execution going on there. Is that correct, though? I'm going to put that on the back burner. Then we see persistence. Persistence being that we've gotten into the network. Now we want to stay in the network. Is it persistence? Again, we see PowerShell executed. We see some registry key was modified. We see that a file was written. Again, some of the same indicators associated with it. I like B as well. Where there defense evasion in here, I think if we were looking at defense evasion, we'd see some deletion, not some execution. We would possibly see that. Or the execution would include some type of log deletion or something to cover up our tracks. That would be evasion. We're not seeing that here, and so I feel like we can get rid of that one. I feel like if it was exfiltration, we'd see information leaving the network. And we don't see that. We just see that a network was connected. We see that the registry key was modified, but we don't see exfiltration of data. And so it really comes between A and B in this specific question. So is it execution or is it persistence? So I'm going to give you about 5 seconds to figure this one out. Figure this one out as we're going through this. What do you think? If, of course, you need more time, you can pause that video. Let's answer this one. If you said execution, you'd be incorrect. It is definitely persistence. Why is it persistence? What's the hint here? What's the hint here? It's that registration key modification. That's what it is. It's the registry key being modified, right? As soon as we modify the registration key, they've already gotten access into it, right? The PowerShell execution, that's just them opening up PowerShell. What they did is they modified the registration key. This is going to allow us to have some persistence in there because it allows the code to persist after the system has been rebooted. That is persistence. That's what it's coming about, and we're seeing it right there. All right? Hope that answers your question. There we go. All right, question number 2. An analyst is mapping observed adversary activity to the MITRE attack framework. Which combination of tactics and techniques aligns with these actions? Looks like we just have some tactics. We don't have any techniques. That's okay. And we got 3 lines, right? Disabled Windows Defender, added a new service, and deleting event logs. What are we talking about here? What happened here? I feel like I've already answered this question. I feel like somebody's like, wait a second, you just went over this. I know. But what do you think? What do you think? All right, let's start right off the bat. We're just going to move right into it. Is it evasion? We're definitely seeing some deletion of event logs. But we're also seeing a new service to execute malware scripts at startup. And then we're seeing the disabling of the Windows Defender via group policy modification. So we are seeing group policy modifications being changed. We see a new service that allows execution of malicious scripts at startup. And then we're seeing the event logs being deleted. So is it defensive evasion? Possibly. I like this answer because we are seeing the logs being deleted. And that is a key indicator of evasion. But we're also seeing some privilege escalation. Nah, not really. We're not really seeing privilege escalation. I'm sorry. We're seeing some persistence. Yes, we're seeing some persistence. Because we're disabling the group policy. We're adding a new service to execute malicious scripts at startup, which means that every time they start the computer, it's restarting. It's there, right? So we're definitely seeing some persistence in there. Are we seeing some execution? No, not really. So it really comes between A and C on this one. Which one's the better answer? Which one is the better answer? Is it defensive evasion or is it more persistence? Because, yeah, it could go either way on this one, but there is one that's better than the other. What do you think? I'll give you about 5 more seconds on this one, then we're going to take a stab at it. If you said persistence again, you'd be incorrect. It's the defensive evasion. Why is it defensive evasion? Deletion of logs. Deletion of logs. So what we're doing here is somebody came in and they're like, I'm going to delete or remove the group policy. And then they added a new service to where every time the computer reboots, right, we execute the malicious script, which deletes the logs, right? So it removes traces of the attack. That is defense evasion. That is defense evasion on there. There is some some persistence because of that new service being added down there, but it much more aligns to defense evasion. That's going to be our answer right there. All right, question number 3. An analyst reviews logs from a SIEM to investigate potential malware infection. Based on the provided IOC, what is the analyst's best course of action? We have a little bit of a log snippet there yet again. What do you think about this one as you're going through it? I'll give you a minute to think over this. Maybe I'll make you pause the video. I don't know. Maybe I'll just talk in the background. So we got to make sure we read that log. We see the event ID. We see the account name is it's an admin account. Login type is 3, so it's a network. We see the source IP address. File creation of a script. We see a hash value associated, and then our threat intelligence match, known hash associated with Emotet malware. Okay, so we see definite malware with that associated with the script. All right, do we want to, let's go ahead and answer this one. Pause the video if you need more time. Do we want to, A, block the source IP address and hash at the firewall? Do we want to do that? I like blocking the IP address because it came from a source, right? Obviously, that source is providing us some malware. And so blocking that source and the hash at the firewall, I'm assuming they're meaning the hash of the script at the firewall, definitely something that I would want to do. Definitely something I would want to do. B, quarantine the affected host and investigate the lateral movement. Another great answer because we're seeing the quarantine of the malware. I like B as well. I do. C, submit the hash for dynamic malware analysis in a sandbox. We already know what the hash is. It even tells us. Why would we resubmit it? Doesn't make any sense. D, monitor for additional logon events from the same account. It's an admin account. It's an admin account. Obviously, the password was, and the username and password, we should require an automatic password reset. But I'm not seeing that. It's saying monitor it? Okay, what's the question? It says, based on the provided indicator of compromise, what is the analyst's best course of action? I would reset the password. I mean, that would be like my number one thing to do. It really would. But that's not even an option. It just says monitor. So D out the window. It's really between A and B. A and B are going to be our two best answers on this one. Which one's better? Do we want to block the source IP address and the hash at the firewall? Or do we want to quarantine the affected host and investigate the lateral movement? What is our analyst's best course of action? As an analyst, what is our best course of action? Really two great answers on this one. It really is. What do you think? What do you think? Well, the proof is in the pudding, and the proof says B. Quarantine the affected host and investigate the lateral movement. So why aren't we blocking the source IP address and the hash at the firewall? Why aren't we doing that right off the bat? Because I know somebody's screaming at their computer going, wait a minute, why wouldn't we block the source IP address and the hash of the firewall and then quarantine the affected host and investigate for lateral movement? Why aren't we doing that first? Why is quarantining first? Well, because it's in the question. Look, an analyst reviews logs from a SIEM to investigate a potential malware infection. We think it's a malware. We're not positive it's malware. And so I want to point that out, right? It could be a legitimate user. It could have been there was a hash collision. There could have been a lot going on here. And so, secondly, our IPS should have blocked it, right? Should have blocked it. I think that's where they tried to put too much in there. They're blocking the source IP dash and the hash of the firewall. If you remember anything about firewalls, you know that most firewalls don't have the capability of blocking hashes, right? That's not something they can do. And so that's not a legitimate answer. That means B, B is the only one that makes sense. B is going to be the correct answer. I know some people are screaming at their screens. I know it. I get it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, it's misleading. Yes, CompTIA does that. B. B is going to be a correct answer on this one. All right, question number 4. A vulnerability scanner reports the following high-severity findings on an internal web server. The remediation team requests a prioritized action plan. Based on the best practices for vulnerability management, what should the analyst recommend first? We have some scores here. CVE's critical vulnerability scores. We see 9.8, 8.6, and 2.0. What should the analyst recommend first for our vulnerability management? Good question. Good question. I think I've seen something like this on the exam before, so you should definitely be paying attention with this one. Let's jump right into it, shall we? Patch the Apache vulnerability to prevent unauthorized file access. Where is Apache? That is score of 8.6. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. 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 All right. B, remediate the PHP vulnerability to address the highest CVSS score. First off, just because it says it's the highest doesn't mean it is. Always double check. PHP is at a highest score of 10.0. I like that answer. I do. C, upgrade OpenSSL to resolve the critical buffer overflow vulnerability at 9.8. Ooh, another high one, but if we're looking at scores alone, then 10 would be better. So B would be the better one. And then D, conduct risk assessment to determine which vulnerability affects critical business processes. I like this one as well. We kind of have to give you 2 answers. So I'm going to let you pick between B and D. We're not going to give you much time, though. It's only 5 seconds. Hurry up and answer it. Let's get over to this one. I feel like this one's too easy. Too easy. All right. If you said B, remediate the PHP vulnerability to address the highest CVSS score, you'd be wrong. You'd be wrong. It's not that. I hope I got you. I hope I did. I'm going to be honest with you. I hope I did. No, it is not 10. It's conduct a risk assessment to determine which vulnerability affects the critical business processes. Critical business process. Doesn't matter if our PHP is rated as a 10. It may be an internal server that nobody from the outside has access to. It may be not only sandbox, but air-gapped. We have no idea. It doesn't tell us that. And so, as a matter of fact, it says high severity on internal web server. Look at that. Internal web server. Conduct a risk assessment. Determine which vulnerability affects critical business processes. D! D is going to be the correct answer on this one. I hope I got you. I hope I did. All right, move on. Question number 5. A company employs a machine learning model to detect phishing emails. A threat actor manipulates the training data set by injecting fake labeled data into the pipeline. The following sample data set was identified. What first action should the security team take to address this data poisoning attack? Okay, so lot to unpack here. Lot to unpack in this question. Not near as simplistic, I think, as most people think it is. Excuse me. So let's dive right into it. If you need more time, of course, you can pause that video. A company employs a machine learning model to detect phishing emails. Who cares? A threat actor manipulates the training data set to inject fake labeled data into the pipeline. So we have a problem here where our machine learning is not performing the way it's supposed to. This screws all of our data up. That's the poisoning attack aspect of it. The following sample data set was identified. What first action should the security team take to address this data poisoning attack? We see invoice attached as legitimate, claim your reward is legitimate, and urgent action needed is all considered to be legitimate. So, do we want to do A? Retrain the model using verified, sanitized data set. I feel like that would be a good way to start off. Yeah. A would be definitely in my wheelhouse. I would definitely say, yeah, that's probably one we would want to look at. B, implement input validation on data ingestion pipelines. I'm not sure that would actually have any effect. Yeah, I'm going to say no. No on that one. That's not going to help us out. Implement input validation on data. I mean, that means we're validating all the data before it comes in. And the data could be validated, could be fine. That's not what happened here, right? Because the threat actor manipulated the training data sets by injecting fake label data into the pipeline. And yeah, I don't see that being a fix. C, analyze the source of the data set to identify unauthorized changes. I could see where that could come in handy because we could see the attack and we see that the threat actor manipulated it. So analyzing the source of the data set. So we would be able to analyze to figure out if the data set is actually coming from a legitimate source. We know that the threat actor manipulated it. So, I mean, I can see that as being a possible answer. Yeah, so C, A and C so far. D, apply zero trust approach to all inputs and restrict data set access. Normally we would do zero trust approach anyway to all inputs though. To all inputs and restrict data set access. I mean, this is a really good answer. It really is. Is it as good as C? I don't think so. And the reason I say that is because it says to all inputs. Not all data set inputs, just all inputs at all. And so we already do that. Because remember, CompTIA is like, unless otherwise stated, this is how it is. And so zero trust is an approach that we take willy-nilly. We do it all the time. That's what zero trust is. Restrict data sets access. Restrict data set access. I don't know. I don't see that one. It's really going to come between A and C. A and C are going to be our top two answers on the board in this aspect of it. So A or C. I'll give you about 5 seconds. I know this one's a little bit more difficult than the other ones. A little bit more difficult. What do you think? All right. If you answered C, analyze the source of the data set to identify unauthorized changes, you'd be correct. Congratulations. 100% correct. Why? Why is that correct? Because the essence of this question, right, is that the threat actor manipulated it. And so we need to curtail or identify where the source problem is, because that's how they got in. So we need to fix that issue. And the only one on here that fixes that issue is analyzing the source of the data set to identify unauthorized changes. That's the only one that makes sense. And so that is going to be our answer. C is correct. I hope you learned something. I hope you found this valuable. Until next time, I'm Dr. K. We'll see you around.